Hello everyone. Welcome to my stop along this fabulous encouragement card hop. I'm showing you here some of the papers and products I'll be using. We're going to do a little bit of watercoloring and we're going to do a little bit of layered stamping. So I ran into a couple of issues with my video, and you know what? I just left it because I really think it's important to encourage everyone. Even if your video turns out a little wonky, or in my case, a little blurry towards the end, it's just fun. It's still fun to watch and keep powering through. I think the most interesting part about having a YouTube channel and being a crafter is that there's no second takes. Once you have completed the project and filmed yourself completing the project, if you come back like I did and half your video is blurry, there's nothing you can do about it. So what I have here is some beautiful Altenew Crisp dye inks. I have a water brush and just an acrylic block. All I'm doing is I'm taking a couple colors of yellow and I am just smushing color down onto this paper. So this is Gina K Luxury white paper. It's mostly used for Copic coloring or alcohol markers. And I did use it for the base of this layout or the base of this card just to try it because I'd never really tried it before. So I just watercolored all the edges of my cardstock, and now I am taking direct to paper my ink just to give the edges a little bit more color and a little bit more color saturation. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side and let it dry completely before I continue on. You could see me there dabbing off a lot of the water with a paper towel just to keep it as dry as possible, and that helped a lot too. So I'm going to do some layering using an Altenew stamp set. I'm showing you here the 4 ink colors that I'm going to use. I love Altenew Crisp Dye inks, the mini cubes, because I can store them easily in this close to my heart container. They fit perfectly and I love that. And I'm just going to go ahead here and begin my stamp layering. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some tips for stamp layering that I have found through trial and error. The stamp set that I'm using, just as for your information, is Altenew's Fabulous Floral stamp set. So those are the layering stamps that I am using today. Okay, so here are a couple tips. First of all, you need to be sure to leave and allow your ink colors to dry between layers. I find that that is key. Otherwise, your paper gets so saturated with ink that it starts to want to kind of warp and do funky stuff. So I really recommend that you take the time in between your layers to allow your ink to dry. This can be a long time, it can be a short time, it really doesn't matter. The other tip I will give you is get your head in there. Just get your head right in, right over your stamp so you can really see where the stamp is going to hit. That is key. I cannot stress this enough. Get your head over over your stamping. This layering guides on the back of Altenew stamp sets are really easy to use, I find, and I don't have a problem with them. If you are someone who does, then make sure when you stamp your first layer, the stamp is in the exact same position as it is on the layering guide until you get the hang of how that stamp works. That will help with your lining up all of the layers after that. So you can see here, I really took my time layering up these stamps. So in between each of these layers of ink, I think a couple times I started dinner. I think one time I switched a load of laundry. Kept an eye on the boys, stuff like that. Just, kind of walk away and let these layers dry in between. You also saw me go ahead and stamp a mask because I'm going to cluster up 3 of these flowers together and then we're going to add some leaves. So I'm just finding my different layers, finding where they are, and the amazing part is I adore Altenew inks for this reason, because they come in packs of like 4 of the mini ink cubes, and it makes layering a breeze. You literally just go dark, medium, next lightest, lightest, and then when you stamp it, you start with your lightest color and work your way up to the darkest. And they all coordinate, and it's like, I don't know, stamp layering for dummies. I'm a big fan of being able to buy a collection of inks that just go down the line and just work well together. Yeah, so, and trust me, I need stamp layering for dummies. Anyway, I'm just going to do this last couple of layers here. This is the smallest layer. Now, if you have a layered stamp like this Altenew stamp, there's five layers of orange before you get to the darker middle section. So what I did was I stamped each of these layers one time, but then that dark layer, the 5th layer, I stamped my stamp color twice so that it was darker than the layer below it. The other thing is, Altenew Crisp Dye inks are notorious in my book for this. They will stamp kind of blotchy, and then as they dry, they will even out. So don't stamp your stamp twice. Stamp it once, and then leave it go. If it's still blotchy after it dries, then go ahead and stamp it again. Leave your stamp on your stamp platform. But definitely let the colors dry and even out, because they will. Okay, so if you notice the light change, that's because it's now evening time. And I'm coming back in to do the middle and to do some more of my stamp layering. Okay, so squeaky dog toys out of my room now. Ugh, sorry about that. Real life. I always say this in my videos. This is real life. Okay, so I'm stamping the middle, and I'm using a dark Lava Rock ink, and then I'm going to go in with the black. So at first, when these first stamp, they're both going to look black, but then when they dry and soak into the paper, one is lighter than the other, and it really gives a lot of depth and dimension to these layered flowers. Another thing to note is that you can, of course, eliminate layers for these flowers, and you get something that is a little bit different. It's a great way to be versatile with your layering stamps, is to go ahead and just eliminate a layer or two, and you get a whole different kind of a look. Okay, so now it's time to mask and do my next flower. So I'm just going to put the mask over my stamped image, and then I'm going to go in and do a yellow flower. So my flower colors are going to be a yellow and this corally orange, and then a fun teal color. And I think that the colors turned out beautiful. So now, if you're wondering, the reason that I'm putting my stamp and rubbing it onto my arm is because that seasons the stamps, and I always find that if I rub my stamp on my arm, whether it's a new stamp, an old stamp, an ancient stamp, as long as it's photopolymer, if you rub it on your arm before you stamp it, I always get better stamp results. I think it's just maybe the oil from your skin or something. It kind of keeps the stamp from being too slick, and I get just so much better results when I stamp and then rub it on my arm first. Maybe it's just all in my head. I don't know, but I think it's awesome. I really think I get better stamp results. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue on here, stamping and masking and getting these flowers together. I didn't leave all of the stamping in because I figured it would just be it would be a lot for you guys to have to watch, and it gets to be tedious. But I definitely wanted to show you all the different layers of the first stamp. And now we have blurry. See, I don't know what happened, but you can kind of see there all my stamps are, all my flowers are there, and now I'm just adding the leaves. So I'm just masking off the flowers. again, I kept and reserved all of the masks that I did so that I could use them for both the leaves and also the flowers. So I'm just going to go here. Same thing, you can follow. The stamp is sectioned off so that you can stamp the leaves, or you can use you can use the leaves, or you can use the flowers. And there's like little lines on the guide that helps you to know what stamps go with what layers, which is really easy. So you can see there, again, get your head in there, and each layer, let dry. All of those tips will make your stamp layering go so much easier. Okay, so now we have everything stamped. We're ready to kind of put the card together. This came in focus without a problem. So I went over to my sewing machine and I just stitched a zigzag stitch, 2 of them. I made them wonky, I made them messy, I didn't want them to be perfect. And I'm going to use them and I did that over the card panel that we watercolored. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere it to, or I'm going to adhere the stamped images to the stitched part. And then I just did the one edge so that there was that yellow all around all the different sides. Now I want to add a little bit of black splatter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my Shimmers Paints in Night Moves. I have the worst time with this ink. It's like the one that is constantly tipping over on me, so I'm being like super careful. And now I'm going to do some stamp layering without using my MISTI. So I'm just showing you here how to do it. You can see same type of ideas. Let everything dry in between layers and get your head right on top, even if your head ends up in your video. This is the inside of the card, and since this is an encouragement card hop, I did the inside sentiment that says, "You are absolutely fabulous." And then I went ahead and stamped all these beautiful leaves in a diagonal pattern so that the inside is just as gorgeous as the outside. And there is our finished card, albeit a bit blurry for a second, but that's okay because I have lots. Oh, I'm just trimming it up here. Sometimes, for whatever reason, no matter how hard you try, sometimes your card base is like just a little wonky and off. And so here is all the close-ups. You can see all the beautiful details in those flowers. There's the inside of the card. And thank you so much for stopping at my stop along this amazing encouragement card hop. There are so many fabulous crafters. Thank you to Courtney and Mary and Jen from Scrappina Creations for allowing us to be a part of it. And have a lovely, lovely day. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye.